My name is Tony Fieldson, and this is my final presentation for my EDUC 526 class. I attended the Orange County campus, and my professor for the course was Dr. Joanne Gilbreth. In December of 2007, I graduated from California State University, Long Beach with a history degree. In the few months following, I was preparing to leave for a few years on a missionary service trip to Mexico to work on projects to relieve people suffering both temporally and spiritually. It was the best experience in my life up until that point. I met with many wonderful people who I formed great friendships with and whom I still keep in touch with today. In addition to the people, I also grew fond of the food and the music. I also became fluent in Spanish as well. Before leaving Mexico, and while I was in Mexico, I was trying to figure out what was my next step for education and vocation. I always had an interest to go into teaching growing up. My mom is a kindergarten teacher, and I grew up watching the fulfillment she got out of making a difference in the lives of youth. Before I left for Mexico, I was talking to my girlfriend's cousin, and somehow it came up that she was a teacher. I asked her where she went to school, and she told me Azusa Pacific. I had never heard of it before. She said she loved it because it had a faith-centered focus, had smaller class sizes with more individualized attention, and she said she was able to graduate in just a year and a half with her teaching credential and her master's. That sounded very attractive to me. I ended up researching other options as well, and finally decided on APU when I returned from Mexico in May of 2010. I ended up starting the program a few months after, in the fall of 2010. My single subject credential advisor, Matt Fryho, told me there was an option to go for the master's in just plain education, or to go for the one with an emphasis in technology. I figured this would be a good selling point to potential administrators, and was excited to learn more about technology. I had considered myself a digital immigrant up until that point, and I didn't want to be too behind in the classes because I felt like many of my fellow students might be way further along than me in their knowledge of technology. I spoke with Dr. Gilbreth, and she reassured me that I would be fine, and that my instructors would be very helpful in walking me through any questions I had. I have enjoyed my teaching credential classes and master's classes very much. I have learned from some really useful instructors who have helped me out a lot, and I've also learned a lot of great instructional strategies and activities in the master's courses I have taken at APU. From EDUC 512, for example, I have learned about the value of web quests for student engagement, and this will be an integral part of the units I develop as a history teacher. From EDUC 522, I have learned about the importance of matching up technology with blooms and different multiple intelligences as well. This makes sure each child is reached and make sure they get to those higher levels of thinking, and also learn about the new technologies they will need to be familiar with in order to succeed in their career fields one day. From EDUC 514, I learned some very useful tips about how to shoot and edit video effectively and integrate music as well. Students love to watch each other perform, and they love to use technology to create things. This is a tool I will use if the school I'm in has the technology for it. I will also create a class website, which will also increase interaction with my students. This is something I learned from EDUC 515. Because of my EDUC 514 and 515 classes with Timothy McKean, I am also going to be purchasing an iPad by the end of the summer. I am finally sold on the value of having one. I also use Excel and Adobe Acrobat because of EDUC 512. I use Windows Movie Maker, Audacity, and Dropbox as well because of Timothy McKean's classes. I also use TeacherTube and Skype with headphones now because of EDUC 522. I'm excited to use these ideas to connect with students on a greater level. Well, on to my action research project. It has been both enjoyable and helpful to conduct this experiment. The issue I chose was my habit of going to bed earlier than I wanted to. I like when I go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. I feel more productive and feel more energy. I have looked at medical research online that shows on multiple websites that it is healthier to retire early and arise early, just as our ancestors have for many, many years. So my research question was, I wanted to see that if I followed the 9-step process that I found on a website, I wanted to see if it would help me to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier, and if it would increase my productivity level and overall mood. For a few weeks now, I have tracked my sleep patterns, such as when I go to bed, how long it actually takes me to fall asleep, what the surrounding environment was like when I woke up, if I took a nap during the day and how long my nap was, and when I started and ended the nap as well. I have implemented the suggestions as well from the 9 steps, and little by little I started going to bed earlier. I was averaging going to bed around 12:30 or 1 o'clock when I first conducted the study, and now I average around 11:30. I would like to get that down to around 10 o'clock eventually, but I've made some improvements at least. In the area of waking up earlier, I've definitely improved in that area a lot more than when I've going to bed. Having a workout partner definitely helps. We meet at 6:15 or 6:30 at the gym every day, and so I wake up around 5:45, 6 o'clock, and I feel a lot more productive. I do take naps now though, a lot more often since I go to sleep kind of late still at 11:30, but hopefully that will stop once I go to bed a little earlier. That's probably been one of the drawbacks, is not being able to go to bed as early as I'd like. That's partly due to the fact that I'm a waiter at a restaurant and I don't get home till about 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. All in all, this has been a good experiment, and it has helped me. I've found my research question to be true, that the 9 steps have helped me to go to bed earlier, wake up earlier, feel more productive, and to increase my mood and energy. Now on to my unit plan. The subject of my unit is world history. The topic of my unit is world religions. This is a 3-week unit for a 10th grade classroom. I ended up choosing to focus on 5 different world religions, them being Judaism, Buddhism, historic Christianity, Islam, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Mormons. I tried to choose different religions that have a wide variety of backgrounds as far as their history goes. I didn't want to just choose religions that all had to be, dealing with the Middle East. I wanted to branch out. So that's why, for example, Buddhism originated in India, it spread to China, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was founded in the Americas. So, the reason I chose this unit is because I feel that although schools generally do a good job at tying major changes to economic motives throughout history, I feel that the curriculum doesn't do a good enough job at explaining the religious motives that have caused major changes throughout history as well. I have designed many interactive activities with the integration of technology throughout the unit. Here is an overview of a few of them. For example, to introduce the unit, students will be completing a web quest in groups of 2 where they will discover the main aspects of each of the 5 religions' histories and current beliefs. On day 3 of the unit, students in groups of 3 will begin to create a mini iMovie with their in-class iPads about an aspect of the history of Judaism they had already learned previously, and they will present it to the class a week later. Another example is on day 11. After having learned about Islam, students will submit a verbal mini essay via Google Voice to my class webpage. Finally, on day 14, in groups of 4, students will present via Prezi their projects where they get to create a new religion. Other technologies I have linked to my website to make it more interactive for the students are Facebook, GarageBand, and Twitter. I've also integrated some of these into my unit and my class as well. One of the main assessment tools throughout the unit are online quizzes. I feel like this is a good frequent checkup for the students. It helps me realize where they are and where I need to take them next. In closing, I've really enjoyed this program at APU. My instructors have been very supportive. I have learned about teaching from a faith perspective, which I love, and I've also enjoyed getting to know and getting to work with many of my talented fellow students. Above all, I feel I am more equipped now with the essentials that I need to fulfill my mission of impacting the lives of many students in powerful ways as God would have me do. Well, that is the end of my presentation. Once again, it's been a wonderful experience going through this program at Azusa Pacific University, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.